Hello, this is Ralph Sinkay with Visible Proof Part 5. This time I'm going to present you with 3 collages of Doorway Man and Lee Oswald, but I've decided not to talk about the details this time. I would rather speak to you about the significance of all of this while the pictures are streaming. Some have asked me why this one thing about Oswald's shirt is so important. And the reason is, it's indisputable. It's undeniable. There is nothing that the other side can say. There's a guy named McAdams who is a professor, and he has the biggest, most visible website that advances the lone gunman theory. And he seems to pride himself on answering all questions and taking on all comers. Back and to the left, grassy knoll witnesses, impossible timeline, magic bullet. None of that is any problem for him. But I've got something to say to McAdams. Hey McAdams, Doorway Man is wearing Oswald's shirt. Let's see you deny it. Let's see you address it. And I don't mean what you currently have on your website. I've read that. I mean in light of what I have been saying these past days. I want you to address my videos, my articles, my evidence. I want you to debate me. I am calling you out, McAdams. I think the hardest thing for most people to reckon with is the magnitude of the fraud. The number of people who were involved in the actual crime of killing Kennedy was probably relatively small. But the number of people who have been involved in the cover-up, which has been going on for 48 years, has been astronomical. Would someone really falsify a photograph to mislead the entire country and the world? We're talking about adding lines and splotches to make a shirt look checkered. We're talking about altering the hairline to make it look like that of someone else. Who would do such a thing? And if they were ordered to do it, why would they go along with it? Well, the answer to that question is that we only have to go back and consider the very first person who was pressured into perpetuating the fraud. And I'm talking about when Lyndon Johnson, and by the way, you should watch The Men Who Killed Kennedy on YouTube, when Lyndon Johnson implored Chief Justice Earl Warren to head up the committee to investigate the assassination, he told him ahead of time that it was crucial to find for a lone gunman because otherwise World War III would result and 100 million people would die. Now, don't you think that's a pretty persuasive reason to fiddle with the image in a photograph? Don't you think it was a pretty compelling reason why Gerald Ford felt justified in moving the location of the rear bullet entry wound from the back to the neck to comply with a single bullet theory? We live in a world in which appearances, in which perceptions mean everything. For instance, they tell us that this green paper that we pass around is money. And as long as we perceive it that way, they only have to print it. In fact, they don't even have to print it. Most of it is digital. But obviously, people have to believe in it in order for the system to work. But I have no illusions. I know the system, the establishment, is never going to embrace JFK truth, not willingly. After all, they have been force-feeding us the lies for 48 years. So how could they admit the truth now? But if millions of people found out, if it became common knowledge, and I mean to the masses, then the establishment might not have any choice. After all, there are more of us than there are of them. And the widespread recognition that there was a coup d'etat in 1963 would profoundly change the country, and I mean for the better. But the first step is to spread the word. So please tell everyone you know about this video series. Let's make it go viral. And it's not for me. I'm not selling anything. It's all about righting a wrong that has been festering and poisoning us for 48 years. Please, help me.